Ty Segall is a garage rock, psychedelic rock musician. He has put out so much music over this past decade. I'm still ill, I am sorry. And I didn't really like his earlier stuff. I thought it was a bit too lo-fi, didn't really have much of a personality to his voice. It was very reverberated, but then in 2016 he dropped an album that I actually really liked. Emotional Mugger. Thought there was a bit more experimentation to it, a bit more of a fresh idea going along the way, and Ty's vocals were certainly more up front, and I felt like I knew who Ty Segall was this time, whereas before he could have just been any guy singing over these instrumentals. And that was easily my favourite album from him. And then last year he dropped a self-titled album, which was pretty good. I did like it a lot at first, but it did wear off on me because I did feel like it was more of the same and not quite as exciting as Emotional Mugger. And here he is again, of course, because he's Ty Segall. He drops music all the time. He's very much like the OCs and King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard. They're all kind of in that same pool, I think. And Freedom's Goblin is pretty good. It's a good album. I do know for a fact that people will probably be put off by the runtime. I mean, it is like an hour and 15 minutes long. Like, you know, an hour and 15 minutes long can be an album length that is way too long for some people. Even me at points, there are some albums out there that are that long, and I'm just like, nah. But I don't know, I'm going to argue the case that I think there's enough versatility and creative ideas across this length of album that makes it do the justice for the length of the album that it is. In other words, the 1 hour 15 minute runtime is quite warranted in my opinion, although not every track is that great, and I think the issues on this album are actually his vocals again, because even though they're very upfront and you do get a sense of what he's trying to go for with his style, he is throwing it back to some like old school rock on this album, more so than I think on Emotional Mugger, because he is doing a few cover songs here and there from like older tracks, and that falsetto that he throws in every now and then reminds me of like those 60s psychedelic rock bands as well. And I'm not sure how well he pulls off that vocal, honestly. There are a few tracks here where his voice is a bit too annoying for me to want to listen to. So yeah, he could have cut those tracks out, definitely, and then we probably would have had like a 50-minute, 55-minute album, which might have been a bit better to digest. But even that, still, I think some of the buzzy and fuzzy guitar riffs on this album do get a little repetitive. Like, it's pretty much every track. And it's not like he can't do it well. He can really do it well. He does it incredibly well on nearly every track he's ever made. This style of music, it does have its place, and garage rock, I think, is a sound that I typically do really like, and I think that Ty Segall, of all musicians out there, if there's anyone that's going to make it sound good, it is him. She is a straight up rock and roll song. Oh my god, it's a really like long, like 7-minute epic where it just really feels like it came straight from like the 70s, you know, that blues rock era where so many bands were doing just jamming out, you know. It's just a jam out session, and I really like this track because I think it's the one track on the album that shows a different approach to what he's doing here. My Lady's on Fire doesn't really have any of that crunch, what he usually would throw in on his albums. It's a much more subtle, sort of like acoustic guitar driven track, and you know, actually goes off really well. I think this is a one track where his vocals aren't as annoying as they sometimes are on this album, and I do think that this different style of his here is actually really good. Everyone's a Winner is a cover song I was talking about as well. It is a really good cover version of the track that came from like the 80s, I think, from Hot Chocolate. The original's pretty good. I mean, it's a bit cheesy, but I feel like Ty Segall takes away that cheese on this track, actually. It's really weird. I don't think it has that same kind of like cheesy vibe, that kind of like, oh yeah, we're doing rock and roll, yeah. Like, Ty Segall takes that away from the song and actually turns it into a really good song. The And Good Night closing track is like a 12-minute epic. Yeah, for sure. Maybe epic is a bit stretching, a bit of a stretch, honestly. Like, it's not an epic. It could have been like a real epic, like King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard type epic, honestly, but it's good. It's a good closing track, and a few tracks before that do run into each other a little bit, like deciphering and distinguishing each song on this album is a little bit hard because it does go on for so long and a lot of the sounds are similar. But for what it is, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are probably just going to dismiss this one. But Ty Segall, man, I think he's making good rock music, and this album, Freedom's Goblin, is actually a pretty solid one. And I like Ty Segall at the moment. I think he's improved a lot since his earlier Bandcamp days, his lo-fi days, and I would go as far as saying this is a solid album, and it's a C+ for me personally. Perhaps nothing you've not heard before, but it's one of those albums that does sound well, and yeah, I don't know. Not many people are really going to care about this album, but I'm here to say that actually there are a lot of great tracks on here that you should try out. And that is it. C+. Have a good day. Have a good day. Have a good day. Have a good